Good evening. These are gonna become like videos I'm doing just on my second channel because I'm working on one big fucking Sea of Thieves video at the moment and I need to try get something out first. So you're just gonna see a lot of these random aimless rants or tiles from the Discord. That'll eventually be turned into just one big video for the main channel at some stage. So starting off this one aimless rant, something that I started typing at fucking 20 past 2 in the morning. No clue why, but I did it and it seemed good enough to record. Something that pisses me off a lot is when a good game gets overhyped to the point where people accept that it's just one of the best games ever. Like GTA 4, God of War 2018, and Tears of the Kingdom all fucking suffer from this. And some of them are games I actually like too. Most of these games you kind of have to just force yourself into playing it, so the first few hours end up the most boring shit you've ever played. And halfway through you get a pretty fun experience. But you end up just getting moments like, oh, this is one of the coolest moments in the game, and you expect something really nice looking or some epic fight or whatever, and then it's just like a disappointing animation that has nothing to do with whatever you've just done. Red Dead 2 gets this a lot to the point where I've seen TikTok comments of kids saying, even if you don't like Red Dead 2, you have to admit it's one of the top 3 games of all time. There isn't even a fucking definitive top 3 games of all time. Red Dead 2 is incredibly well made, except for the online mode. We don't talk about that. And a lot of work is put into it. But I've had more fun playing just Celeste, which is literally just a solo platformer made by a team of 5 people. It's really just down to taste, and people are going to like different parts of a game for certain reasons. I like Zelda, especially the newer ones, because the combat is pretty simple. You don't actually need to remember a lot of button combos other than, say, dodge this attack at the perfect time, shield parry this one at this time, or there's other ways of going about a situation. It's not just do this over and over in a fight until it's done. And I like the art style as well, but the game's writing honestly just falls flat because the actual plot isn't that great. It's mainly just the gameplay. Meanwhile, Fallout New Vegas is the complete opposite. The gameplay is okay, not the best, but it is a really well written game with a lot of subtle ways to actually have the story progress, such as having no essential NPCs. Anyone can die at any time for any reason. I can go into huge detail in that. And the lore of the Fallout universe I find super interesting anyway. It's fine if someone else doesn't. But then the actual shooting mechanics and all, mainly you just have to kind of rely on VATs and sneaking around. But it's not even like good stealth. If you get noticed by one enemy, suddenly, ooh, everyone's out to fucking kill you. My point here is that a game doesn't need to be hyper-realistic or held together better than the fabric of the fucking universe to be good, as long as it has something to offer, and it can do that well. I actually hit the fucking Discord limit while typing that. Second message time. A great example of a game that had something to offer, did it well, and then gave up is Brutal Legend by Double Fine, I think it is. That staying in the video. But when I started playing the game, I thought it was actually really good. It was a pretty fun hack and slash type game, and also a love letter to early heavy metal, featuring bands such as Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, and Motorhead in the soundtrack, and actually featuring the frontmen for each band as characters, well, except for Rob Halford. He just voiced the villain, and then that was it. But it started off really cool. The soundtrack was incredible. The game looked nice, especially for the time, and the gameplay was especially fun. And then about 4 missions in, it just becomes a real-time strategy game where you can become a ground troop and hack and slash down there. And it just stays like that for the entire game. And the writing is still really good, and it's pretty funny at times. And the soundtrack is still incredible, but none of that matters when the gameplay is still just kind of boring. Like, it was a pretty good attempt, but it feels kind of like they slapped it on to an already decent game in the hopes that maybe it'll work, as I just don't think real-time strategy and heavy metal can mix for a combat-based game.